Good day to all. My name is Saima Kinyasra, and alongside my esteemed creator, Professor Nimal Shah, I'm excited to present our research project titled A Critical Inquiry of Material Using in Interior Architecture. Let's have a look at the life of a material. We see that a new material over time decays, changes its properties, and shows the traits of aging or weathering, with change in its quality and thus gets old. This old material now is in a position to either become valuable. The aim of this research is to examine the strategy of aging and weathering materials in the field of interior architecture for specifically adaptive reuse environments. This research is divided into four parts. The first one talks about the theory of aging and weathering, its evidences and impacts. Second part details the visible and invisible evidence of aging and weathering, decay, and time respectively. The third part talks about the values and design approaches of adaptive reuse, including the three value drivers of the approaches. The last part details one of the approaches, ruination, and its practical application in the field of interior architecture. This study is a response to human emotions, thus blends the two fields, psychology and interior architecture, in order to design spaces which are more emotionally resonating, more user-centric, aesthetically appealing, and sustainable, keeping in mind the future. What is aging? The most basic definition of aging is growing old, be it a living being or a material. For a material, the theoretical causes for the same include corrosion, wear and tear, oxidation, and exposure to the environment. Then what is the difference between aging and weathering? Weathering specifically refers to the process of external environmental factors causing physical and chemical changes at the surface level of the material. External environmental factors being the key, the surface changes are seen when light, wind, rain, or temperature changes act on the materials. When we talk about evidence for aging and weathering, there exists two kinds, visible and invisible. Decay, being the visible evidence, can contribute to a sense of authenticity and add to the overall aesthetic appeal of the design. And the invisible evidence, being time, is only felt. Let's talk about decay first. The word by itself holds a negative connotation, as it literally means cause of rotting or decomposing. Even in societal terms, it holds negatives, as it trails towards decline in quality. For example, how someone claims their culture to be decaying in the younger generations. However, in the field of interior architecture, decay doesn't necessarily have to mean something negative. This is where the aging and weathering of material act as a benefit to defy this negative notion. This could be done through enhancing the very decay of materials. Decay enhancement could be done through certain ways. One of them is through emphasizing the patina of the material, as seen in the Alembic Museum, Vadodara, a city in India. The old factory was repurposed, where certain parts of the building were kept as is to enhance the history of the space. The other way of doing so is by using reclaimed materials in the built form. This is seen in the Courage House by Studio S plus PS, where they have used old reclaimed materials in the living area of a house, which opens to the front facade, keeping all the windows functional as well. There are three ways in which one may interpret different meanings of decay in nature, in society, and in materials. Ultimately, all the decay happens or is visible should be decay in the material itself. Material decay may be classified into two groups. Incidental is when material is naturally decaying due to environmental factors, while curated decay is the process where decay is made a deliberate feature in the design. Talking about the conceptual evidence of aging and weathering, time is the key to both measured duration and cultural and historical significance. Time is also a key to designing a space, as it decides the lifespan of each and every building material of the space. Time causes temporality, a concept which intends to experiment with the representation of time. As we talked about earlier, time gives importance to history, emotions, and culture, thus amplifying the value of the material or the built form. Coming to the third part of the research, as we talked about value, we need to understand the perception of values. Creation deals with designing the space according to the needs and aesthetics, while enhancement is the improvisation on the already existing space. Here, we only deal with the value enhancement part as we talk about adaptation. In the book Heritage of Built Forms talks about three design approaches of adaptation: amulatio, facadism, and ruination. This project details out only the ruination approach. Ruination is the approach which respects the aged and weathered building and lets the old deteriorate over time as a part of the design. A good example is the San Fernando Library, which was once a school, then a cinema, then a theater, and now a library. With all these repurposing of the space, the original stone shell of the building has remained untouched. For such adaptation projects, there are certain key drivers which enhance the value of those spaces. From these, ruination holds four major drivers: time, as it talks about ruins; sustainability, as that much amount of new material is saved; aesthetics, as it is different than the contemporary; and history and emotive value, as it holds a rich past. But is there a need for value enhancement? As humans, our responses are a reflection of our emotions, and aging and weathering of interior materials elicit emotions, such as nostalgia, which contribute to the overall emotional experience of the space. Ruins makes one think of death of the building, death of the past. The concept of memento mori lies in the remembrance of this death. In paintings, this thought has been prevalent. Romanticizing the ruins through realism was a popular painting style. As seen in the painting by Lorraine, it shows the ultimate remembrance of ruins and the past. Contrary to memento mori, this is an example of the Watson Hotel in Mumbai, India. This painting was made way before the building was even constructed. It serves as a reminder of what the building once was and what it could have been if it had been maintained and preserved. Ruination as a term reflects the abandoned buildings and structures. Giving life to it would be reincarnating the ruins. Around the world, such projects have been seen and developed, showing the potential in the aged and weathered. In the local context of India, the first thing that strikes one's mind would be the colonial past. Especially seen in South Bombay, the fort area, the Western culture is very prevalent. These buildings were constructed during the British colonial period in India and are characterized by their grand architecture and ornate detailing. In the concept of Orientalism, Western intellectuals and artists have used their knowledge of the Orient to justify and reinforce Western domination over Eastern societies. Now, these spaces have been retaken by the locals, but the architecture style stays. An example for that is the repurposed building in Ballard Estate, Tiana. The exterior of the building is stone, while after the revamp, the interiors were seen to have bricks. They were then kept exposed, and a lot of reclaimed materials and spaces, such as the staircase, was reused to revive the space with a new look. Yet, the question remains, why do we love these age-old buildings, structures, interiors, and architecture? Old buildings serve as living witnesses to past eras and cultural practices, leaving us with a modern nostalgia and providing a tangible connection to the past that may be difficult to find in more modern structures. Buildings are not passive objects, but play an active role in shaping and maintaining societal power relations. In case of old buildings, their perceived cultural value often stems from the historical narratives they represent and the power structures they reflect and reinforce. By embracing the physical decay and weathering of old buildings, people can reclaim a sense of ownership over their cultural heritage and resist the power dynamics that seek to control and commodify this living, breathing museum. A plausible response to this love is a sustainable approach to conservation that preserves the historical and cultural significance of the building while making it relevant to the current needs. The reasons being, by reclaiming these buildings and repurposing them for local use, communities can assert their own cultural identity. They represent an essential chapter in the region's history and are valued for their architectural and cultural significance. By giving a new identity to the built space, by transforming the negative associations of the past into positive ones, preserving the past while adapting it for the current needs, it provides economic benefits by revitalizing neglected areas and creating new opportunities for business and tourism. Also, certain government restrictions and bylaws restrict the demolition or encourage the preservation of structures, making it a necessity to adapt. Using original materials and the material culture and adaptive reuse processes help preserve the authenticity of the building and retain its historical value. Juxtaposition of contrasting materials helps to create a dialogue between the past and the present, highlighting the historical significance of the older materials and innovative potential of the new materials. Through the research, aged and weathered materials contribute to a sense of familiarity, reminiscence, and coherence in the space, creating an emotional response. Using these materials may also contribute to sustainability efforts by promoting the reuse and repurposing of materials. Thank you.